Oh, that's a great question. Yeah, yeah. So
Now
we
you're able to do it, to improve or to do better?
it's interesting. I mean, that's a really good question. It's not super easy to answer this one. The thing is, like, the way we work is like,
Hi, Pierre.
hey Jana, how?
Pierre. I'm doing fine and you?
Very good, thank you, thank you.
Thank you so much for your time. A pleasure to talk to you.
Of course.
And I need to, we love the first movie. I went to the premiere with my son. He was younger
Yeah, yeah,
and
of course.
it was amazing, 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 amazing. And I want to see, you know, uh, I want to know like this second movie is like nothing about the books on it is a original story,
Yeah.
so what was like the inspiration came about?
Oh, that's a great question. Yeah, yeah. So we when we make those stories and write those stories, we use elements of the books. We and when I say elements of the books, it can be a gag, it can be characters, it can be a moment in the story of any books really. I mean, he wrote 20. I mean, right now we're kind of like more like using material from the very beginning of the full series of books, because this book 8 or 10 to 20 are like kind of go into multiverse, sci-fi stuff. So we're not there yet. So we use ideas, we use characters, we use gags, we use set pieces, and but the storyline itself, we are not quite following quite closely, like you said. So for this second one, I think we knew where we wanted to start the characters, which we kind of left them at the end of the first film, which is basically reinserting society and finding a job to help them be part of society, but like a nine to five classic job, like as good guys. um and I think that premise was so funny to see them struggle. We actually started again like with Wolf was a bank teller at some point, and Shark and Piranha were waiters in a Chuck E. Cheese style restaurant, and Snake was a plumbing snake, and it was all that very funny. And then we brought them back to just actually finding job. It was much clearer as an idea. um we also knew that we wanted to use a gag from the books, which is basically a the silliest gag in the whole book series that made our kids laugh so hard when they read it, or when we read it to them. And it's that idea that Piranha was sleeping in a spacesuit, and in which Wolf would take the spacesuit and Piranha would fart in it, and Wolf would almost like pass out. And I think that gag was so funny. We wanted to use that, so we had to go to space to do this. And also the last thing was like introducing those characters, the bad girls. We love the idea of like the bad guys are trying to re-enter society, and they're pulled up from one last job, and we wanted to just bring new characters anyway. And there were these three characters from the books that were kind of heroic characters working with Diane, but Pigtail and Doom and Kitty. And so we decided to use them and make them the villains of this story. So these three elements, you had the beginning, and we had kind of like we needed to go in space, and in the middle, like they get pulled for one last job. I think kind of created the skeleton of the story. Um, and then after that, you use moments in the books and dialogues and stuff like that, and of course, the genre, because Aaron, when he writes his books, likes to play with different filmic genres, cinematic genres, and I think I love that as well. So kind of like we're using the books in an interesting way, but we're not, to your point, following a storyline.
Yeah, but I love that you guys also play with the lenses, with the
Yeah.
shadings, with the lightning, and like talking about technology, like everything. Like the other one was released in 2022 and now 2025. How much the technology, I don't know, improve? I know improve it a lot, but how much is there anything that you guys left out? Anything that you left out in that one, then now you're able to do it to improve or to do better?
It's interesting. I mean, that's a really good question. It's not super easy to answer this one. The thing is, like, the way we work is like technology improves constantly, right? and it's rare that in a sequel, you can reuse the characters that you created 3-4 years before, because in between the technology has evolved so much, the software has evolved so much that you have to kind of re-rig and resurface those characters to make them work for your new platform. Bad Guys 2 happened so quickly after the first one that we ended being able to reuse all the characters all the rigs we had created for these characters. We use the same software basically, at least for animation. But on other areas of our DreamWorks pipeline, some of those softwares had evolved, and some other movies like Wild Robot and Puss in Boots and Dogman and Fu Panda 4 improved upon some of that technology, but not the whole pipeline, but more like plugins and ideas that some of the creators had brought in, and some of the developers had managed to develop. Wild Robot really cracked on the foliage of the trees and how stylized that could be, or painterly that could feel. Puss in Boots benefited from Bad Guys 1, and then improved on Bad Guys 1 just to get more graphic line work and stuff like that. And so as Bad Guys 2 happened, we could mine from their improvement upon Bad Guys 1. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
It's basically we Bad Guys 2 is basically the same look as the first one. It's improved and it's bigger, and it's also richer. Also, because we could mine some of those improvements on that were made in these other movies, so we have more painterly feeling, more brush strokes. We have more line work within the shots. We have an FX systems, a VFX system that is more blended between particle effects that are very stylized, mixed with 2D effects drawn on top that we couldn't really do on the first one as much as I wanted it. We have interesting foliage that is much more moves much better in the second one. We have and mostly scope and rendering that is even more refined than the first one.
Yes.
So it's kind of, it's hard to pinpoint exactly what it is, but everything kind of the quality all went up a little bit overall, and the size of things went up as well.
Yeah, you guys work together with Sony Imageworks. How was this collaboration that come about? And I know that they've been doing waves on animation. DreamWorks also do waves in animation. And how's this combining both? Big tsunami of animation.
Oh no, totally. Well, it came from a desire from animation is costly, as we know, and it came from a desire from a studio to just kind of mitigate the cost of making those films. And so therefore they asked us to use a partner studio to make a little bit of the film. And I think in the end, Sony ended up doing 20% or 22% of the footage, or 20 minutes, something like that, of Bad Guys 2. The only thing they could really use was models for the sets, maybe models for the characters, but the rest, it's a completely different pipeline. So they had to recreate everything else, which is the look depth, the surfacing, texturing, the rigs of the characters, figure out the animation style, light the way we light it, all the brush. I mean, they could use the brush stroke. We send them the brush strokes and everything for the texturing. But they had to adapt to what we were doing. It's very, very difficult to do that because it's completely two different pipeline. The DreamWorks team is used to that style. The Sony team was not used to that style, and so they had to be taught and brought in. And I think I'm very proud of the way we did it. I'm very proud of the Sony team because, one way to meet. By the way, one way we also helped with that is giving them a full set piece that would be theirs. So the lucha sequence was theirs. We didn't have to share assets between the two studios. It was their scene, the location, the trucks, the food stands, all of that stuff is theirs. We didn't use them here. And then the wedding scene is also one location, and it was theirs as well. So that was a way to just simplify things a little bit between these two studios. But very proud of the way what they did, because adapting to our style was quite tricky. But I think one way to just really make it work is really treat those teams as partners and really bring them into our creative process, ask them for feedback, involve them as much as possible, get to see them, get to meet them. They're in Vancouver, and so we flew there many times, we brought them on board, and got them excited about the project. We're quite demanding. We're very picky as directors, but then they were, but in a way that also it was hard for them, but at the same time they were very engaged and really wanted to learn even more about animation and about the style we're developing. So they've been doing fantastic, and I think the audience can't tell the difference really between these what has been done at DreamWorks and what has been done at Sony.
That's amazing. It's the time that I have with you. I have a bunch of questions, but thank you so much for your time. I hope you have a number 3, a Bad Guys 3. I hope so, and 4 and 5. I hope so. Thank you so much, Pierre.
Thank you so much, Jana.
Bye.
Bye.
If you like to support or continue to support Jana on Camera, don't forget to subscribe, like, comment, and share the videos.